Can you really be free if you're hungry? Can you really be free if you are in need? Can you really be free if you are in want? Can you really be free if you are dependent on aid to obtain your daily food? These are essentially the relationships. Freedom is indivisible. You cannot have freedom if you do not have access to the main determinants of freedom. You cannot have freedom if you do not have dignity. And if your life every day is trying to make sure that you have a little bit of food to put on the table of your children, to give to your family, and that for doing that you have to go around being a client, beg for your food, then you have no dignity and you have no freedom. There is kind of a general agreement that what has brought people down into the street is the lack of dignity. But I want to say that this lack of dignity did not come only from dire socioeconomic situation. It came from that, but it also came from repression. And it also came because we felt that we had no sovereignty on the international arena. We felt that we did not have our governments, our states, had no decision-making power, that we were driven into an economic system, into a political decision-making, into a foreign policy in which we were never independent and able to express what we want. We had lost dignity at the level of the individual because of the security state apparatus. Many had lost their dignity because they were in need and kept in need so that they could always come begging. But we also had lost dignity as a nation, because for the past 63 years, Israel has been occupying Palestine, and no Arab country could ever do anything about that, because for the past 50 or 60 years, our foreign policy was imposed upon us by great powers that could manipulate the leaderships and the dictatorship. So this dignity issue has a lot to do with your perception, the perception of the self. It has a lot to do with the fact that you are in the middle of cities, in misery belts, unable to produce enough money to make a livelihood because of unemployment that is absolutely tremendous. 30 to 40% of our youth are unemployed, with no prospects for the future except that of waiting for some remittances from those who are away. And the situation is like this because our productive sectors and our social safety nets have been destroyed. Among these productive sectors is farming. Farming has always been looked down upon, and as it's been looked down upon by people seeking rents, seeking real estate speculation, seeking to make money from import and export of food commodities, this led to a situation in which the rural people all had to move and become urban poor, or to stay as rural farm workers, producing food that they themselves could not afford and eating cheap, low-quality, imported food. I couldn't understand how people who live on less than $2 a day were able to spend 18, 20 days in Tahrir Square without working, and therefore without making any money. And people do not have a stash of money. They don't have a bank account. They need to make money in order to feed themselves and their families every day. So I went with that essential question: how did you feed the uprising? And the answer was fascinating to me, and it opened a whole new horizon, a whole new world. You see, not everybody was able to participate in the uprising, not all classes, for a number of reasons. But all classes, in one way or another, did lend a hand in support of the uprising. The people who were in Tahrir Square told me that every day, people who were rich, people who were poor, people who were from the middle class, came to Tahrir Square, each donating whatever they could give for a day. It could be money, it could be sandwiches, it could be food, it could be a bakery who decided to bake today 1,000 loaves for the people in Tahrir Square. All of this would go into a central tent where it would be redistributed to people who needed food. This, of course, is a total departure from the world where profit comes before people, the neoliberal world that has become the world in which we live. This is a world in which this moral economy, the economy that says, sometimes I make investments in my community, in the linkages, in the social relations that are more important than the financial profit, the material profit that I can make by selling food to people in there. This moral economy had totally disappeared certainly from urban areas. It exists, of course, in villages where people can, take a day off to go and help somebody reconstruct their roof that has been blown by. But in the cities, in the center of the financial world, this had totally disappeared. And the Arab Spring brought this back. I'm Rami Zurayk, the author of Food, Farming and Freedom, Sowing the Arab Spring. I hope you enjoy my book.